What's up, y'all? It's that Sports Kid here with my 2023 Oklahoma Sooners season predictions. Let's get into it. So last year, Oklahoma had their first losing season since 1998 with a record of 6-7. This year, as usual, sportsbooks are predicting OU to win a lot of games this year, between 9 and 10, currently a 9.5 over/under. Lots of returning production returns to Norman, 7 players on offense and 6 players on defense, and 5 Sooners were drafted in the last NFL draft. The recruiting class is ranked 6 from last year, and the transfer rank is a top 10 class. There were 2 5-stars in this recruiting class, including this guy right here. I am not even going to say his name because I'm going to butcher it so badly. Plays defensive edge and is a top 10 player in the country and the #1 player from Missouri. Then they also got Jackson Arnold, a quarterback who is the #1 player from the state of Texas and a top 10 national player. Then as their highest rated 4-star, they brought in Peyton Bowen from Denton, Texas. Plays defensive back and is the 57th best player in that recruiting class. All of those freshmen will be on the team this year, and they will be able to play. Unless they're redshirted, I guess. There were 11 other 4-stars and 12 3-stars along with those players in that class. Brent Venables brought in a lot of good talent, good players, helping OU recover from last season, I guess. Lots of transfers, 16 transfers, helping them get that top 10 transfer rank, and 8 of them will be starters, including Deshaun McGlough, who is a 4-star linebacker coming in from Indiana. Then there's also Walter Rouse, a 4-star offensive tackle, coming in from Stanford, and Jacob Lacey, a defensive lineman, transferring in from Notre Dame. My personal ratings for OU this year, this is a out of 10, 10 being the best. Giving OU an 8.5 on offense. They will definitely have Dylan Gabriel as their starter. Not a bad quarterback at all. Their running back room should be pretty good. The receiving room on offense, the receiving room is the only room on offense that is a little bit scary to me. Not great right now. Yeah, not great right now. Marvin Mims sort of carried last season. The offensive line has 147, almost 150 career starts entering this year. Pretty talented, experienced. Pretty experienced offensive line. Linebacker room is good. Defensive backs are okay, and the D-line should be pretty decent. That's why I'm giving the defense an 8 out of 10. Here's the schedule. Schedule difficulty is a B-. It is hanging around the 50th most difficult schedule. Start out with some out-of-conference games. Then we head into conference play and play Cincy, Iowa State, Texas, UCF, Kansas, Oklahoma State, West Virginia, Baylor, and wrapping it up with TCU. So that week 1 game against Arkansas State should be a big win for Oklahoma. Arkansas State is a Sun Belt team. They aren't very good. And Oklahoma should just run through them at home. SMU is an American Athletic Conference team. They're usually pretty strong at home for OU, though. I think they should get this win, although it could be a good bit closer than the Arkansas State game. Then we also have Tulsa, another AAC school. This one is on the road, actually. Away for Tulsa, I assume. They scheduled multiple games at home for OU against Tulsa later. It's like a 1-for-2 or 1-for-3 or something, I assume. But this year it's on the road. I do think OU should get a big victory there, even though it's on the road. At Tulsa, Tulsa's not too far from Norman, and Tulsa really isn't a great football program this season. Next up, we have Cincinnati, a brand new team to the Big 12. I don't think they're going to be phenomenal in their first year, sort of a transition year. They also have a new head coach. I will say it'll be a close-ish win on the road. It'll be a big game for Cincinnati, but the Sooners should be able to get that victory. Then we also have Iowa State in the next week. Traditional Big 12 team, although they were hot garbage last year. Good the year before. Not sure how much they're going to improve this year, get back to bowl eligibility. Either way, I think OU should get a solid win at home against the Cyclones. Then the play in the Red River rivalry against Texas. Neutral site game in Dallas at the Old Cotton Bowl. I am gonna say this is gonna be a toss-up. Probably should be a close win because it should be. But rivalry games can go either way, and blah blah blah. Rooting for OU in that game. In the next week, Oklahoma plays a UCF. Central Florida, they are another brand new team to the Big 12 this year. The Knights will be coming off of a bye week. I don't know if that's going to matter too much. Should be a solid win for OU against the Knights, who are probably going to be the best of the new teams to the Big 12. There are 4 new teams: Cincy, UCF, Houston, and Brigham Young, BYU. And I think UCF will be the best of the 4. In the next week, OU plays at Kansas. Kansas will be coming off of a bye week, and it will be played in Lawrence. Either way, I don't think either of those things matter. OU has a very long winning streak over Kansas, and I don't think it's going to be broken this season. Next up, we have Bedlam. It's very strange. I don't think Bedlam is usually played this early in the season, with 4 games left. Oklahoma will be facing Oklahoma State. Arch rivals in-state. State versus Oklahoma. State versus University. On the road, I am still going to say Oklahoma State has a chance in this one. Pretty decent home field advantage for the Cowboys, and I think they could at least keep it close. At least. But I think OU probably should win Bedlam, although I could see an upset in this rivalry game. In the next week, we have good old West Virginia at home. Thankfully, they don't have to travel like 2,000 miles. Well, thankfully, OU doesn't have to. West Virginia does. Sucks for them. They should go join a different conference. Either way, that besides the point. Oklahoma should get a close win this season. West Virginia is shaping up to be one of the worst teams in the Big 12 this season. Sort of like an Iowa State of last season. OU should get a solid win over the Mountaineers. Next up, we have BYU. So yes, Oklahoma is going to play 3 of the 4 new teams to the conference. That is dragging down their schedule difficulty a good bit. BYU probably not going to be great in their first year of the Big 12. I could see them winning some close-ish games, but I don't think they're going to be anything too notable. On the road, I guess, in Provo, very difficult place to play, Provo. But I think, well, I guess because it'll be played in Provo, it should be a little bit closer. Could be sort of a tricky game. Very good home field advantage. Brigham Young. Yeah. Anyway, final game of the season, TCU. Close win. TCU is not going to be the same team they were last year at all. They have very few players returning. And it'll also be a home game for the Sooners, helping them out a little bit. Yeah. Only 3 offensive players returning for TCU. 7 on defense, but 3 on offense is dreadful. Completely new team, pretty much. Yeah. That's going to lead me to a record prediction of 10-2. All of these games are winnable. There is potential for them to go 12-0. Now, they won't. They won't, because they're Oklahoma. They don't really do 12-0. Typically they lose 2 games a season, and I'm gonna say they lose 2 games. Yeah, 2 games in the regular season at least. Recovering from last year feels a little bit generous, honestly, but I'm gonna say 10-2. Big wins over the top 3 teams, or the top teams in. What am I saying? Big wins over Arkansas State, Tulsa, and Kansas. Then close-ish wins, like within 17 points, against these 6 teams in the close win category. Then we have toss-up games against Texas, Oklahoma State, and BYU. I'm gonna say they lose one of them. They lose 2, actually. 2 of these games. I'll say Oklahoma State and, I don't know, 10-2. All these are toss-ups. They could lose all 3. They could win all 3. I could also see at least one upset from the close win category. I don't know. That's pretty much what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking for OU. Definitely going to recover from last season when it was just so dreadful. And they should have a much better season and hopefully win the Big 12 conference in their last season before they join the SEC. That is all I have to ramble about today. Thank you so much for watching, and until the next one, peace.